Yes, I just manually faded out of a YouTube video, which I never thought I would do. Um, welcome to the slowdown. And we're gonna be chatting it up, hanging out. This is gonna be a weekly-ish time to slow down and reflect and do things a little bit differently. Yeah, I would say this is a space of the internet that I wanted to sort of reclaim a little bit and have a space for all of us that are, in that 9 to 5 and either getting out of it, have gotten out of it, or trying to like navigate out or balance 9 to 5 with something else. Um, there's This is really important to me, mostly because I worked full time for most of my 20s or all of my 20s, and I've been able to transition over to part time work. Um, might be going back to full time. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes. But main thing being that like a lot of us don't fit into that full time mold box, whatever you'd like to call it. The showing up to work to listen to other people tell you what to do, the constant pressure to deliver and be perfect and to optimize your time and to be efficient and all of these things that like sometimes it's the last thing you want to do. So because there's so many of us out there, hopefully if you're watching this you're one of them, who are sort of like anti this culture of this way of being, right, that is centered around um, hyper growth and hyper productivity and hustle and grind and I don't know, stay up late every day doing something to show that you have done something. This is kind of a space to slow down and kind of leave that behind a little bit while we're here. And this week I've been thinking a lot about productivity. Where did it come from? Why is there this push to squeeze like every last drop of out of us? If you think about like a factory line or a production kind of like production line, it's all about efficiency and cutting down, the widget that was produced in an hour to now being produced in 30 to then being produced in 10, and it being this constant like race to get to quickness and results and leaving behind any sort of like ability to pause and ponder and reflect and think. um, so I've been one of those people for a long time that got caught up in the 9 to 5 of it all. The work is my primary thing that I talk about at work, with friends, with strangers. Um, my passions aren't important. My passions don't bring me money, so why would I do them? And it took me a while to get to the point where like I am more comfortable still doing my passions and not and kind of not knowing whether or not they will bring any sort of um, monetary return, but they do bring a lot of like internal soul return. Um, and productivity's been on my mind a lot lately. Um, when you're working 90-hour weeks and you're still being told that you're not productive, like how un yeah, how unmotivating that is. Um, how much that hits your ego. How does that affect the rest of your day and your life, right? People around you. And sometimes like you can I'm sure you've been in this spot too, but like you can work all day and it seemed like you've done so much, but then you end your day and it sort of feels like you haven't done anything at all. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but it's happened to me before where I've gone on to do all the tasks, or attend all the meetings. But by the time my day rolls around where I'm closing my computer, it honestly feels like I'm like, I don't even want to close my computer because I have so much more to do. And somebody once told me, I think it was a manager or mentor, early 20s, they were just like, you can leave stuff for the next day. And I was like, what? Can you? Um, and so that was a really hard thing to accept, was the fact that like I was stressing myself out for no reason. Yes, there are things that are going to be urgent and important and all of that jazz, but most things can wait overnight for the next morning. Um, and when it comes to productivity, like the feeling of being productive, I feel like it's so interesting because sometimes like I'll feel productive if I check things off a list. Sometimes I'll feel productive if like actually that might be the only one of the main ways I feel productivity in my life. But we're always chasing for productivity. We're always chasing for whatever being productive means. And a lot of the times I'm like, do the people that measure productivity even know what it means? Because I feel like it can be measured in like time and hours and checklists being like lists being checked off. But like, does that actually show that you were productive, or does that show that you just completed 10 tasks and that was that? Um, I think outcome is what we're missing a lot of the times. Is like did you accomplish the outcome that we talked about, that we set, that we both agreed to? Um, and it's interesting as well. I think a lot of the times, like, I like to sort of flip on its head a little bit the thinking behind why we end our days not feeling productive after having done an 8 hour day or a 7 hour day or a 9 hour day. Instead of kind of leaning in, I guess, to the why why don't I feel productive, or I did so much and there's still nothing. I have to do better tomorrow. I have to do more tomorrow. I think instead of kind of falling into that mindset, I found it to be really helpful to kind of think about like, what's one thing that brought me joy that day? What's one thing that like made me smile? And obviously, it's not perfect. It might not always work, but um, there's a lot of compounding impact that happens when you do that for yourself, because you're kind of showing yourself, you're showing your brain and your soul and your heart that like you did this job, let's say this corporate job, 9 to 5. You're commuting to work for an hour, getting there really early, having to like stuff your breakfast in, first meetings at 8:30 or 9, and your meetings all day. People are asking questions. You're fielding questions. You eat lunch during a meeting, um, and it's really hard to look back at that day as a whole and like pull out joy. Maybe the joy was waking up that day, right? Maybe the joy was maybe the smile was like that person that opened the door for you, or that you opened the door for on the way to work. Um, it's always a little bit harder in the beginning to do this because like your brain, or at least my brain, wants to just go directly to like the negative and kind of be a little like woe is me, and to a certain extent woe is me because like I am beholden to this like person or team that I don't want to work with. um but while we are working in this mold, right, while we are still figuring out how to turn this 9 to 5 like box that we're in into something that's sustainable, something that maybe looks a little bit different, something that's maybe like a balance of 9 to 5 and like a creative project that you work on, or maybe it is fully your creative project and you leave the 9 to 5. Like those are the type of people that I hope are listening to this, because I went through the same thing. I went through the how do I get out of this, because I feel like I'm a little crazy. And I know I'm using the word crazy here very lightly, but like I felt crazy to be the one person on the team that was like, why are we working long hours like this? Why are we micromanaging people? Why am I being micromanaged? Um, why do we have so many meetings? Who scheduled this meeting? um, and the big question is like, how do we move away from this culture of grind, hustle, etc.? We see it all the time. It's everywhere on our feeds. Work harder, work more hours, work late, work 3 jobs. Like, and I understand some of us have to do these things to survive. Um, I think if you're in a 9 to 5 and you have the space to think about like the fact that you do have other things going for you, that you do have value outside of your current space, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what you're doing. And for anybody that's listening to this that like is needing to see the other side, like there is another side to this. There is a side where you make your art, your creativity, you make your gardening, you make your car mechanic abilities your thing. And there's many, many ways to think about that, of course. But today, that's all I wanted to kind of talk to you about was I don't think anybody really knows what productivity is. I think people think they know how they can be measured. But the person that they're measuring, it's not fair how the person's being measured, I guess. The person that's being measured has no say in how they're being measured. And that's unfortunate, right? Because it's an exchange. And I feel like both people should be part of that exchange to a certain extent. Outside of this reflection period, which I hope is helpful and or just me rambling, but outside of this reflection period, this whole this kind of the slowdown is all part of like how can we leave this 9 to 5 mold behind us, and really kind of tying into that is I have this all tied to a newsletter. So some things that are maybe worth your time to check out that were worth my time and that I wanted to share is something I read, which was Why the Past Shouldn't Be Forgotten. And it's a newsletter on Substack as well by Andrea Puente. And she just talks about how like our past is important. Our past gave us our present. Our past shouldn't be forgotten because it was painful or it brings bad memories. But we should embrace it for what it was. And not saying that it was fair and just and all of that, but just saying that like we had to go through some of that to get to here. And I think this is a really great post just to reframe a little bit like that our past has been helpful in so many ways, and we don't really think about that very much. So though you're in this space right now where you're working this 9 to 5 and you're working corporate or you're working at a startup and like things are hard, these are long, meetings are tiring and boring. Just know that this is going to be in your past soon, and like the future is also there waiting for you to get to it. So this is a really dope post that I wanted to share. And then secondly to that, another thing that might be worth your time that I found interesting was Emily Bryant's coffee exploration to Puerto Rico. And she did this like really dope video where she went to Puerto Rico and she went to a farm called it's called Bosque PR, but I actually believe that they have their own nursery, and I think they work with farms around them as well. But they're basically trying to like bring attention to a variety of coffee seedlings, coffee variety called Típica 104 or 401. And she goes to Puerto Rico and visits the nursery, sees the little baby seedlings, sees them kind of growing. They roast coffee at the end. They also talk to different farmers in the area about Puerto Rico's vibrant culture when it comes to coffee. And part of this project is Bosque PR bringing attention to the fact that like this variety still exists, and it was initially found in the land of Puerto Rico. It's an extinct variety of coffee too, so they're trying to find ways to save it, to preserve it, to bring attention to it. And I think it's really beautiful that they're doing this, because if they don't do it, then who will? So check this one out as well. And then the last thing that brought me joy or sparked joy was I have this bouquet of flowers that my mom got for the house, and my partner added some more flowers to that too. And last week I was looking at it and there were like gnats flying around it, and I was like, gross. And I was like, I should throw that away. And instead of throwing it away though, I kind of said, actually, let me take a second. Like, what can I actually do here to like still keep the flowers because they're really beautiful. So I ended up just like switching the vase, getting a new vase that I had stored in the pantry. I cut the stems off for the ones that I could salvage, and kept kept it up on the counter. The gnats have reduced, and um, some of the flowers, yes, they are dying, but most of them are still vibrant and healthy. And it's been like 3 weeks now, which I think is really dope. And I was really happy about that because I could have easily just thrown away the vase. Sorry, the flowers, not the vase. I love that vase. Thrown away the flowers and kind of said like, hey, this is old. It's moldy. There was no mold yet, but there could have been in a few days if I left it do its thing. Let it do its thing. And I didn't. I said, hey, like, I'll just take 5 minutes of my day and like get new water, switch it to a different vase, cut the stems a little shorter, and just place it back where it was. And I think that's so much of life is like that. And speaking of life and being like that, I'm gonna end with just a cozy like music recommendation. Venna released an album called Malik or Malik. Two songs on there that I'm going to play a little bit of are Myself featuring Georgia Smith. And then there's another track on here called Twisting featuring Leon Thomas. Lots of really good features on here as well. Smino's on there as well. And so is Mike and Marco Bernardis. But yeah, here's a little like not sneak peek because you guys can listen to this at any point. But yeah, a little vibe to end this talk. Peace.